everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Why I Love Flagler County, your local podcast spotlighting local businesses and local residents about what they love being a part of Flagler County. So today I'm super excited to have my guest, Miss Connie, with us today. Connie, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I love coming to Flagler County, even though I don't live here. It's one of my most favorite places. I'm
Oh.
living in adjoining county, but I love being here and I love being able to help people access our resources with the Alzheimer's Association. And I tell you, when I am here, everyone is friendly, open. There's a family feeling. Flagler County is wonderful.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. That is so nice. I've had a few people not from Flagler County be on the podcast recently, and they're pretty much saying the exact thing you're saying, which I think is a very good sign that there's so much synergy amongst the statements. Clearly, we as a county are doing something right. We should keep going with that. But like Connie mentioned, she's not from Flagler, but we met at the Flagler Rotary Club, and she was presenting along with her colleague Mindy, who was also on the podcast not too long ago. And they had a wonderful presentation talking about the work that they're doing with the Alzheimer Association, but most importantly, ways that we as a community can support them. So I said, I would love for you to come on. Connie had a lot of data, a lot of really good information. I was like, I would love for you to share this with my audience. I think there's so much that we should get out of it. And the number one question I ask is, what do you recommend people to do in Flagler County to kind of get to know their community? And the number one answer I get is volunteering with local associations like the Alzheimer's associations, like doing the Alzheimer's walk. Um, and I think this is a perfect opportunity for people to learn more about ways they can get themselves out there and just give back to an amazing organization that's doing a lot for a lot of seniors. So, Connie, I'll kind of let you start off a little bit, talking a little bit about your journey coming here to this part of Florida and how has that been for you?
So I've had family that have lived here in Florida. In fact, my brother-in-law is like a five-generation Floridian. So anyway, as I was caring for my mother in Iowa, as she had Alzheimer's, they retired and I was still working. So eventually they came down to be with her. And then eventually I said, well, I should just come out of this cold and enjoy wonderful Florida and also help care for my mother who had Alzheimer's. So that's sort of how I ended up in Central Florida. And my mother did pass several years ago, but we had a delightful time caring for her because she was someone that, even though she had really bad short term memory, she still had a lot of humor. There were still lots of things that she really enjoyed doing. And we were able to have a lot of close, wonderful family time. So that's sort of how I ended up in Central Florida, and I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, well, that's really beautiful, and I'm so glad that you highlighted that even though there was those moments where it was a little bit hard, there's so much bond that you can build with someone during that time. Like I lived with my grandma my entire life, and as towards the end of her life, to be quite honest, I didn't realize it was going to be the end of her life. She had so much life left in her. She had so much humor, and there's just a lot of amazing memories I have and amazing pictures that I have with her. And so I know exactly the feeling that you're describing, and it's something that you can't it's priceless. You can't put a price tag on that, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Um, so you mentioned a little bit about how your mother had Alzheimer's, and then I would love for you to talk a little bit about, what got you started to start working with the Alzheimer's Association and, of course, what you guys do now.
So, most of my career, I have worked with faith-based or nonprofit organizations. So I
Wow.
started out in nutrition, and I ended up was teaching nutrition to nursing students and was involved in some faith-based nonprofits. And I was in Michigan and Illinois, Iowa. So, but eventually I really felt like I really do enjoy working for nonprofits and charities that are really helping people in that whole area of helping. So I was in the process of getting a master's degree in nonprofit management when my dad, who was caring for my mother at early stage Alzheimer's, had a stroke, and I did end up moving in with them and caring for them, and ended up working for United Way in my small hometown while I was helping. And then when I came to Florida, I ended up working for a hospice as a volunteer director. And a lot of the volunteers were also helping people who had Alzheimer's. So I had personal experience and I had this work experience in helping community members and then specifically helping people who might be doing respite for a caregiver so they could get out and maybe their person had Alzheimer's and another a disease process perhaps going on. So when this position came open with the Alzheimer's Association, it was just such a good fit because I get to share a lot of my funny stories about my mom, about other things that, and those tips that we've learned over the years. You can't sort of, you can't replace personal experience. Personal experience, people always remember the stories, right?
Yeah.
So when I tell people, my mother, when the doctor said, "What are you allergic to?" She always said, "I'm allergic to work." And she felt like she had done so much for all of us kids her whole life. And so it's like, I just get to have people wait on me now. It's fun. So those fun things, that you get to remember, but you also get to share with others and make people maybe see more of the humor or the connection or the good things, even though they might be going through a difficult time, as well as learning important tips is important. So, some
Yeah.
of the things that I do is I work with, as Mindy spoke with you earlier, we are very much a volunteer driven organization at the Alzheimer's Association. I think I have right now about 28 different volunteers spread across a number of counties who provide education. They do general things like tell people, what's the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia? And just to throw that in, the difference is that Alzheimer's is a cause, it's a biological disease, whereas dementia is the symptom, which is basically changes in mentation, or we call mental abilities, as people not only age, but age plus a disease process that causes them to need help. So
Mhm.
that disease process could be Alzheimer's, it could be another disease process like vascular dementia related to Parkinson's. So there's a lot of different disease processes that can cause changes in your mental abilities that would be called dementia. So dementia means it's happened enough that people can see it and you need help.
Mhm.
But as you share those kinds of things, like, oh, I know now, because some people would say, well, I think you get dementia, then you get Alzheimer's, or are very confused about those things. So
Sure.
we provide a lot of community education. We have support groups in this area. We have actually, we're going to be having the second support group in your area in the next few weeks.
Mm.
So we provide those things with volunteers who help lead those. And then we actually have volunteers that help us at events. We actually try to do some outreach things quite a bit in your area too. So we have lots of different things that we do, and a lot of those we bring volunteers in with those with us as well.
Yeah. I really love that. That's really important for that education that you mentioned because people don't know. They kind of sometimes see stuff on social media and they think that's the truth. And of course, as we both know, that's not always the case, right? There's good information, but it's always great to have an association like you guys who are really dedicated to getting out into the community and educate the community. And so they're able to see those signs a little bit quicker.
Right.
Um, I know that you wanted to share a little bit on you had a PowerPoint, and I would love if give you a minute to kind of share that because you guys have really amazing resources for people to learn about. So I'll let you share that because I think you were showing me a little bit and it looked so beautiful. So I'm excited for everyone to see it.
Before we do that, I want to share something because this is something so important. And in this particular county, there are 41,000 people over the age of 65. So you have a large population in your community, and whether it's in Flagler Beach or Palm Coast or wherever in that particular county. And most likely at this point, we believe that 1 in 10 people over the age 65 are either currently or will be experiencing some form of Alzheimer's or dementia. So that's like over 4,000 people in your community. So what does that mean? It means that pretty much everywhere you go, you will encounter people that might be in some phase of this disease.
Yeah,
And so we really want people to be able to learn some of those different tips, like avoiding endless arguments or giving people extra time. We really want Flagler County to become a more dementia-friendly county as
sure.
more people begin to learn about this, learn about the tools, and just focus on, like I said, on the things that we can help people who are caregivers and maybe have somebody who is with Alzheimer's be more included in all the activities. So I guess before I went to my resources, I really wanted to share that because that is one of our goals for really Flagler counties and all of Florida, is that we will be able to better support people who are going through this journey and help them to be safe, but help them also to focus on their abilities and not their disabilities. And we can do small things, whether you're a hairdresser, whether you work in a store, well, no matter what you do in this community, you will be encountering and able to be a voice of kindness to people who might be going through this disease. So
Yeah.
even though Flagler County is known for being so open, caring, and kind, there's always more that we can do to be inclusive for
Yes.
everybody in our community. So I just wanted to kind of put that in because I know for like I had a family member who was a my mother's sisters, four of them also had Alzheimer's. And one day we took them a Happy Meal and we ate at the picnic table outside. And you'd think we had done something huge for them that day, but it was something different, something out of the ordinary, some little thing that we did to brighten somebody's day. And I think we all have that ability to be able to brighten somebody's day by helping them to do something that they can still enjoy and get a lot
Yeah.
of good feelings from just knowing that other people care.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm going to share a little bit about our resources because these
Mhm.
are available in Flagler County, and I can also tell you how you can access what's the support groups and things that are really happening in your area.
Perfect.
So I think I'm going to go ahead and try to see if I can share my screen at this point. So second, I am getting there. The thing I'm going to share with you first is our helpline. So it's really important that if there's only one thing that you remember or take away from our program today, please put this helpline in your phone. It's 800-272-3900. And I encourage you just to put it at the top of your contacts, like ALZ help or something like that, so you can easily find it because this is 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So if you're a caregiver and you think, oh, everything is going fine, I don't need any help, and then one day something happens and all of a sudden you need help, or you just don't know how to handle a situation, or maybe you want to find a support group, or you want to find an education program, or we even have something that we actually use that has a lot of different resources in the community. We encourage community members to list their services there, so you might even be able to get some tips on finding like home care or something. So this helpline is a wonderful resource, and they have master's level clinicians. They can offer confidential support. We actually have bilingual staff, but we also have this translation service, and some people really like the live chat function is great, and you can actually do that as well from our website. Just a second here. I need to go to the next slide. Back to my screens here. So we also want to share our website. So this is where we have a caregiver center. You can go on this particular site and we have blogged. A lot of people want to know the latest news. There's a lot going on with treatments and blood biomarkers and all kinds of things. Maybe you just want to keep up with the news we have there. We definitely have ways that you can get involved. We find out through our website about our walk or our longest day, which is our springtime summer fundraiser. Um, there's a professional section. If you're a clinician and you want to get some medical CEs to find out more about diagnosis and care, or you work in long-term care, there's a great section there. And then you can also find your local chapter. So when you go onto the website, if you go up to the top, it'll say find my chapter. All you do is put in your zip code, or you can put in Florida and then find your county, and then you can find your chapter, which in this case will be the Central and North Florida chapter. Once you do, you can scroll down and you can find local programs and local support groups. So that alz.org is just your gateway to so many different things that can be so helpful. We have something on that website called Alls Connected. So some people like to be on chat rooms, which is what this is. So basically, it's a free online community. So maybe someone who has just been diagnosed would like to get on and talk to other people. You can see that there's a posting here about somebody from screening that they just told me I won't be able to be screened, or I met somebody here in my community who was in her mid to late 70s, and her daughter was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at age like 54.
Wow.
So this is a place where you can actually communicate with other people and see what other people have posted. So for some people, that's really great because maybe they're busy, maybe they're working and caring for children and trying to keep up with an elderly aunt or grandmother. You can go on any time or day and just see what other people have posted or post yourself. So the Alls Connected is a great resource. We also have Alls Navigator, which is great for caregivers. And basically, it helps you create a personalized action plan. So this action plan, maybe you're trying to help that person not drive anymore. So you want to have some tips
Mm,
about that. Or maybe you have concerns about safety. So it's questions, It kind of guides you through, and then it helps you to be able to create your own plan that's personalized for you. Community Resource Finder, and this is provider driven, can actually help you. You can choose the thing for programs and events and find out about what's coming up in your area by putting in your zip code. Maybe you want to find out about home care or neurologist or elder law attorneys. So there's a wealth of resources. And if you are a business that serves one of these areas, you may want to check to see if you're listed, because it's just provider driven. So if you're not listed there is a way in the upper right where you can set up your own profile and make sure that your services are listed for your community in this national resource finder. We have education programs. And one of the things that we offer, yes, I do come or have one of our educators come about once a month to do a program in person in Flagler County, but that may not be convenient for you. So we have classes you can take at any time. They're on demand. You go into that allsprogramsanytime.org. And when you do, you basically, there's 20 to 30 different programs there. You sign up for it, and the link is sent to your email, and you can watch it whenever you want. And if you are working in a place where maybe they might give you a little credit for taking extra education, you can also get a certificate. And then on our national website is where medical professionals and care providers can actually get special education opportunities. And then, like I said, if you go to alz.org, you choose your chapter, and you can also find out about what we're offering in person. So we're glad to be in Flagler County regularly with some of our volunteers, as well as many times I come to provide some educations. We do have support groups, and we actually have two in your area. One is Market Street, which is a
Oh,
memory
yes.
care facility. They have one that's associated with us once a month. We also have one that we're just reaffiliating. It was been affiliated for a long time, and somehow it dropped off, but it's coming back on. They've still been going on the whole time, but
Hmm.
they're just going to be listed with us now. And that is the one at St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Catholic Church. So these are local groups that you can access, and you can always go through alz.org, find your chapter, find the information. We also, in that, you can also find specialty groups. So we have ones for people who are just beginning to experience mild cognitive impairment or early stage dementia. And they want to talk to others about, what does it feel to be diagnosed? What things can I do for myself? We have for IDD, which is people with intellectual disabilities, also get dementia, sometimes before their care providers. People, especially with Down syndrome, tend to get a certain form of Alzheimer's at a very young age, like in their 40s.
Oh, wow.
We have some ones for men. Sometimes men are caring for their wives, and they like to actually share with each other what things that they're doing that may be helpful. Almost 2/3 of people living with Alzheimer's are women, and so many times the care partners may be a spouse, maybe a nephew, a brother, so sometimes they like those specialty groups. Same thing with the LGBTQ community. They may feel more comfortable sharing some of their situations in that kind of a support group. I'm starting a deaf support group here in Marion County soon, and we're hoping to get an online one as well. And of course, like I said, that early onset people younger than 65. So we have a wealth of virtual and in-person support groups. So there's basically something that can help, no matter what your situation is. We want people to volunteer. And I really think that that's very important. I'm going to go ahead and stop my sharing now, but volunteering is so important. If you are somebody that really does want to volunteer, it's volunteer.alz.org, and you can find out about volunteering with walks. We have people who volunteer with advocacy. So we have been working to get some legislation passed so that first responders have to have a little bit more training about
Hmm.
recognize people with dementia and how to approach them. We really want to approach unfortunate situations where someone's intentions may not be understood, and then something tragic could happen.
Sure.
So, and we also want care partners to be able to, many times with their local law enforcement, they can let them know that they're on a special needs registry. So if they get a call to that house, they know that there's somebody there with dementia, or they use the special needs registry for
Hmm.
with autism and other things.
Yeah.
So we really want people to be safe. And so sometimes some people just enjoy telling their story, or they enjoy basically helping to advocate so that we can do more for care.
Yeah.
So I was
Well,
so glad to be able to share some of those resources.
thank you so much, Connie. I really appreciate it. And obviously, like I mentioned, seniors are a very, very close cause to my heart, given, I lived with my grandma, I cared for her, all 18 years of my life, the first 18, I should say. And so I'm so glad there's so many support groups. I've talked to, I want to say at least four different people in the past week who directly work with seniors. You'd be the fourth one, and I just love hearing their passion. And you clearly have a lot of knowledge and a lot of passion for this and a lot of empathy, which I think is really important because what you mentioned, having those stories, those very human emotions, we have to remind ourselves that these are obviously humans. And it's really important that we care for them in the way that they need to be cared for. And there's so much more to their life than something that they might be working with and battling at that time. So Connie, thank you so much. I'll make sure I have all the links and all the numbers in the description so people can click on it. They can save it to their phone a little bit easier. I would definitely recommend it. It would just be really helpful, maybe for you or someone else you know. You never know what situation you might come into that you might need this information. So to have it in your back pocket is priceless. So Connie, again, thank you so much for the time, for all the information you shared. It was so, so helpful for me, and I know it'll be so helpful for other people. So again, I appreciate your time.
Thank
Um,
you for having me. I always enjoy sharing with anyone I can anywhere because these
mhm.
resources are great. And
Mhm.
we know that this is a great county. Flagler County, I think, is one of the best counties in Florida.
Oh, thank you.
For everyone, I wish I lived there myself, actually, because I like being near the water. But definitely, I so appreciate all the people in Flagler County, how friendly they are, and so glad to help provide these resources and information. And thank you for having me today, Macy.
Of course, anytime. And thank you to everyone listening. I appreciate you guys so much. And I will see you next time. Bye.